Hi, this is Mrs. Anderson, and today I'm going to be discussing writing style with you. This is a first of a two-part lecture. Today we'll be discussing creative, and later I'll be discussing analytical. And again, you can find this video on my YouTube channel, Anderson SF Lancer, so that you can watch it, pause it as many times as necessary. First, let me get started with a definition of what I mean by writing style. Writing style is the technique that an individual author uses in his or her writing. And for our purposes, I'm going to focus on the following style elements: point of view, diction, imagery, sentence structure, tone, and literary devices. If you're unsure what any of those elements are, I will clarify them later in the lecture. Now that you know what writing style is, one of the points that I need to make is that your writing style depends upon the purpose of your writing. So here you can see the two different kinds of writing that we're going to be doing in this class, creative versus analytical, and they're very different purposes. If you're writing creatively, you're usually writing to entertain, to share a human experience, or get to some truth about humanity. As opposed to analytical writing, your purpose is usually to inform or to explain. We'll be doing both kinds of writing in this class, but today I'll be focusing on the style elements of creative writing. Now, you've heard me mention that we will be doing both creative and analytical writing in class, but the question I have for you right now is, which type of writing do you think we'll be doing the most of this year? To answer that question, let me first tell you that most of the works we read this year will be creative. However, most of your writing will be analytical and based on those creative works. So I wanted to spend some time now to look at creative writing style elements. And that's important because approaching creative writing makes it easier to explain or inform others about the literature, gives you the tools that you need to make an analysis about the literature, paving the way for the essay or your analytical writing. So as we begin to talk about creative writing today, I'm going to give you a different style element on each slide, define it for you, and then tell you what are the expected writing standards for each style element. So let me begin with point of view, which is the narrative style from which the story is told. Now, you'll notice that you have a lot of options in terms of the age of the narrator, whether it's human or non-human, the point of time. But what's also important to note is you could narrate from first person, use I, third person limited, so it's he or she having a very limited perspective of the story, or third person omniscient or all-knowing, which is he and she that can see into the mind of others. Next is diction, which quite simply means word choice. And when you're writing creatively, you have the option to be more colloquial or formal with your diction. And consider how that could make a difference, especially for something like characterization. So a character that uses slang maybe is going to give a different impression on the reader than maybe a character that uses more formal or academic language. Sentence structure is as it sounds. It's the way sentences are arranged. And when you're writing creatively, as with the other style elements, you have some choices. So you can vary your sentences with all the different ways that English sentences can be constructed. You even have permission to be illegal. So consider using things like run-ons or fragments. Perhaps your character is incredibly excited, and speaking in run-on sentences will convey to the reader how excited that person is. They can't even stop to get a breath. Imagery is writing that appeals to the senses. When you're writing creatively, imagery is encouraged. It is important to note that a lot of times people just think of imagery as something visual, but notice that imagery allows the reader to taste, feel, smell, touch, and hear the experience you are trying to relate in your writing. So tone is the author's attitude about a subject, and when you're writing creatively, your tone should be highly revealing or perhaps even emotional, because remember that when you're writing creatively, you're trying to reveal some truth about humanity. Consider Annie John and how Kincaid revealed her truth about colonization through her negative tone regarding most things in her book that were British. So creative writing allows the reader to gain insight into an author's feeling on a topic or subject, like colonization in Annie John. The last style element that I'm going to discuss are literary devices, and these are tools the authors use to make writing more engaging. And there could be a very long list of literary devices, but what I've shared here with you are some of the heavy hitters, as I like to call them. So these are ones that we're going to see a lot as we continue to read throughout the year: simile, metaphor, alliteration, hyperbole, and personification. And I've also defined them here for you. Feel free to hit pause and copy these definitions down if you need them. So now that you have a list of possible literary devices, it's important to note that in creative writing, the use of literary devices is highly encouraged. The figurative language of literary devices engages readers and attempts to entertain them in a variety of ways. And remember, one of the purposes of creative writing is to entertain. So thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully now you have a better idea of what's expected of you when you write creatively in this class, as well as how you can approach looking at other works of creative writing. The next time we discuss writing style, we will be looking at standards for analytical writing. So thank you very much and have a great day.